It's in a hello, in the way your smile glows. And it's in a goodbye, in the tear in your eye. And all in between, when you're looking at me, I know, I know, I know what you don't say. And it shimmers through in the things that you do. When you write me a note and you send it by post. And what you might not sign on that bottom line, I know, I know, I know what you don't say. Words are not needed, and oh, my ears could be misled. My heart can hear instead what goes unsaid. You'll leave me with this, a hug and a kiss, and that little phrase, those sweet words you can't say. But please don't be blue, 'cause I always knew, and I know, I know, I know, and I love you too.
Hi, welcome to episode 2 of My String of Purls. My name is Mioka. I am from a small town in the Okanagan, British Columbia, and thank you so much for finding me on my little corner of YouTube of the internet and my knitting podcast. If you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy what you see today. And if this is your second time tuning in, welcome back. If you were one of those amazing people who have encouraged me to keep going, your likes and comments and love have truly, truly touched my heart. So thank you. It definitely is a bit of a nerve-wracking experience to record this, put yourself out there and hit that publish button at the end. But I have 1000% loved every step of this experience, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you. I need to explain, I guess, the podcast name a little bit. I was tossing around several different ideas. I am an avid plant lover, as you can see behind me. And one of the plants that I love the absolute most is a string of pearls. And I will try and put a clip of it either in the intro video. I'm going to try and film a nice thing for every time you come on for it tells you what episode it is. So yeah, My String of Purls. And it just, after writing down a whole bunch of different things, trying to be creative, trying to put a spin on words. Pearls usually is spelled P-E-A-R-L, obviously, but purl, when you're knitting, is P-U-R-L, as you already know. So a little string of, a string on words, a spin on words, a string of pearls, a string of knitting pearls. It just all really worked well. And if I move this way, you will see, no, I'm backwards. Over my shoulder on the piano is my one plant, my string of pearl plant. And if I move the other way, you'll actually see the, I think it's a burro's tail succulent as well, and it is the little trailing thing that's going on there. So that is my reason behind my name of my podcast. You might see a little bit more of my plants and creative things when it comes to that in the future episodes. So that's what that is. I really wanted to pop back on and record almost immediately after my last one, just because the response was unbelievable and everyone was so kind and loving. But unfortunately, I caught a cold. We had gone camping for Thanksgiving. I'll get to that a little bit later. And we had, it's been a very busy, October was very, very busy. I think I put my last episode up in September, end of September. So yes, I caught a cold and I lost my voice and I was ready to go. I had everything organized, but I couldn't speak. And that's why it's taken me this long to get back on here. But here I am, and nonetheless, very happy to be here. Very happy that I actually have a little bit of extra content to show you from my mom. She's graciously decided to allow me to show some of her projects, and I hope that one day I will encourage her and persuade her to join me on the podcast as well, because she is one of my very loving, encouraging, inspiring knitting friends, as well as my mom. So thanks, Mom. And again, I'll get to that too. My other inspiration, I would definitely say, is my mother-in-law, Jody. She is such a speed knitter, and she was actually the person that gifted me my first set of interchangeable needles, and she gave me a set of wooden, what are they now? Knitter's Pride interchangeable needles. I got those for Christmas a few years ago. So that, thanks to her, is half of the projects that I have going on right now. And then, of course, my mom has helped me with several different things as well and gotten me into knitting when I was younger. So those are some of my inspiring people in my day-to-day life, and I hope to share and speak to you a little bit about some of the other people in my knitting community that are virtual and I have never met before either. So that's good. Of course, if you have any questions about my knitting that I'm doing, any project questions, you're more than welcome to contact me. Insert a comment below. I'm trying my best to get to all of those. I know it's not always a little bit personal, but you can also message me on Ravelry. I had a couple people do that as well. And I have Instagram, and I've put my Instagram handle up just once on my first episode, and I probably will again today, just because it's such a wonderful community to connect with. However, I do feel that I have to be somewhat sensitive with my privacy. And my Instagram, I share definitely a little bit more day-to-day stuff. I have my stories, and there's content on there from years ago that I have shared in the past prior to any of this podcast that, I guess, shows a little bit more of our private life, which I have to decide what I'm going to do in that aspect, whether I create a new account just for my knitting, or if I just leave it the way it is, and that's the way it is, and I'm choosy with who follows me. Although currently I've accepted everybody because it's been so fun. So any advice on that, any tips or anything like that, I would love to hear your feedback. I'm also a very open person, so I guess that's another thing too. One thing I did want to speak about a little bit prior to getting into our knitting, and I promise I will get to the yarn, is sometimes the length between my podcasts may be a little bit longer. And that's not because I don't want to get back on here the next day after. It's just because our life tends to get a little bit busy. And I don't like to always use the word busy, but it's true. We get very filled up with activities and our schedules are always crazy. And sometimes at the end of the day, I just don't have the energy to sit down and knit. But at the same time, I don't always have lots of new content. And that's difficult for me because I want to keep this entertaining and fun for you. And if I only have the same projects over and over to share, that's not always the best thing, right? So I'm going to enjoy it. That's been the biggest encouragement that I've had from other podcasters is enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the process. And I really have learning about iMovie, how to record, how to insert music and pictures and other content and everything as well has been a ton of fun. So thank you for your patience if the length between podcasts tends to be a little bit longer. Thankfully, today's podcast, I have content from my mom, and I'm really excited to show you some of the things that she has knit. So I'm going to get right into my first finished object because it's staring you right in the face. This is my Freya cardigan, and I'm going to stand up just quickly to show you here. So we've got some pockets. I did the 3/4 length sleeve as well with really nice, what is this? I believe it's called a shawl collar or a fold over collar. If I was to ever do this again, I definitely would make it a little bit longer. And maybe a bigger size. I might size up. However, I feel like it's bulky enough and I can fit it nicely over my chest and my arms. I do have to block it again. Originally in the pattern, what you do is you knit your separate pieces front and back, and then you block them to their desired schematic, I believe they call it, and then you stitch them together, pick up your sleeves, stitch your pockets on, etc. So I'm going to block it again, see if I can kind of encourage a little bit more length to it. I don't really want it to go much wider, but I would like a little bit more length. Either way, I haven't had a chance to wear it yet just because I want it to be fresh and perfect for the podcast, but I truly finished this, I want to say a couple of days after my last podcast. It just really put the fire under my butt. All I had to do was one more sleeve. I was stuck on Sleeve Island for close to a year, and I had all of the information from my previous sleeve on my Ravelry page, and I just had to do the repeats down the arm, do the cuff. I purposely did the 3/4 length sleeve because I'm always someone to shove my sleeve up like that. So I'll have like a nice long sleeve shirt or something underneath it if I'm out and about. But this is my Freya and I'm very happy. Again, I copied the colorway and everything because I saw it on Patricia from Paradise Island and I loved it. She wore hers in one of her podcasts and I fell in love and I had to do it myself. So this is knit out of Brooklyn tweed. It's not shelter. It's in here though. Brooklyn tweed. Uh-oh. I know I've mentioned it in the past, but now that I've said it, that cord. And this is the gypsum colorway. So the Freya is done. I love it. I am very excited to bundle up with this winter. I think it would be nice with a bit of a belt or something like that as well. And also just having this lovely warm color. So it's toasty. I may have to peel it off at one point. I've had a very busy morning and I am warm. The house is warm. I had a quick vacuum and mop of the floors before I podcasted because now I could sit down and wonderfully enjoy the peace and quiet cleanliness of the home and talk to all of you. So that is my first finished object. My second finished object is my On the Sea Train. So this, you might have recognized the color a little bit. Let's see if I can get a better color happening there. Yeah, so awesome. I knit this on our Thanksgiving camping weekend. So I got to sit by the fire. I got to sit in the boat while Matt did some fishing. And then I had to finish up, I believe, just the top few rows of decreasing once I got back home. I'm going to put it on for you because it is a hoot of how it looks. My last one, I don't know if I was a looser knitter, my gauge was looser, but my last one had a much nicer slouch to it. This looks kind of goofy in the back. And so I would just wear it and it would be really, really nice. I also haven't blocked this. I haven't really thought about that. Might need to block it. So the other one, really nice and slouchy. I showed it on my last podcast, the light gray one, and I will show it to you again. So when I wear it, what tends to happen is this. Can you see that? And Matt calls me a cone head. So what I've been doing, because I want to wear it and I love it so much. Oh, I've got mohair everywhere. Is I've actually been folding the brim like this and wearing it like that. But you know what this reminds me of? A fisherman's cap. Anyway, I love it. It's so toasty warm, but at the same time, not overly warm. Again, this is on the sea train. I will have linked it in the bottom for you. This is like my 4th or 5th hat that I've knit in this pattern. Absolutely love it. This is Woolfolk Far and Shibui Silk Cloud. And if you follow my Ravelry page, I promise you all of the details for my patterns and yarn are always going to be up there. So on the sea train. So I showed you the gray version of this last time. One of my absolute favorite hats to wear, toques. And after I went camping, and after camping, we just had a whole bunch of stuff to go in the wash, and I had some other sweaters and things, and I thought, you know what, I can just throw this in the wash and let it kind of agitate on cool, and then I'll take it out and lay it flat to dry. It'll be fine. I think I've done that with it before. So doing this and that and just getting busy, and you know what, I grabbed, I'm stuck. I grabbed my laundry, threw it in the dryer, separated a couple of things, and I was folding laundry. It shrunk. Like it shrunk a lot. This hat, I don't know if you remember, but it used to be this big. So there's no way this fits anymore. It's not even gonna. Now I'm a conehead, right? So shoot, right? I have definitely said a worse word than shoot. I've got mohair everywhere now. But it's going to go in our treasure chest and hope chest, whatever you want to call it, for a future child, because it's so nice and dense and thick now. That mohair has given it a lovely halo fuzz, and I can't part with this hat. I feel like I'm going to, you can see that mohair fluffing. I feel like I'm going to get the same color yarn and knit another one just because I liked it so much. But yeah, I had a question about my leather tags last time. So there's an M on one side, and on the other side it says love. And I've just stitched them on. They wash really well. And I actually ordered these off of an Etsy site. And if you message me, I will send you the link to her site. I also had a bunch of different colors made as well. I had some made for my mother-in-law too, and her initial with a J, and I believe I put a butterfly on hers. I can't remember. So yeah, I try and include that as, where did it go? As much as I can on my different knits, just because I feel like it makes it look a little bit more store-bought. And how else are you going to tag things and say, hey, I made that, right? So yeah, very sad that that shrunk, but that's what happens when you wash your knits and don't pay attention. Right, Mioka? Right. So one more thing to show that I'm just wrapping up from last time. It's not finished yet, mostly because I've gotten distracted with other things, but my weekender sweater. So this lovely thing, I believe I just needed to finish up the back and do the ribbing and then connect the shoulders and pick up for the sleeves. So I've done that, and it's big and boxy. Like I said, with this one, I think I would have sized up. With my weekender, I think I definitely could have sized down a couple. There's positive ease, but it's ridiculous. So I'm knitting my sleeves, and you know me and sleeves, we could be here till next year, but I'm actually doing 2 at a time on a magic loop just because I want them to be exactly the same. Still really like this sweater. One thing, I tried it on prior to picking up for my sleeves, and the neck hole isn't that big. I followed the pattern directly. My gauge is right, but I don't know. I guess the neck hole, and I meant to make it smaller, but I didn't make any modifications. I figured that I might be able to make a modification of it smaller after I did it, but I could almost, this was difficult to get on my head. So yeah, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do yet. I'll finish the sleeves for sure, and then I'll try it on again. And this is meant to be kind of a throw over sweater if I'm out taking the dog for a walk, we're camping, whatnot. It's not meant to be necessarily like a fancy out and about sweater like this one was. So if it's tighter to my neck on the collar, that might not be a problem because it'll be something that I want warm around my neck. However, this is a Kitchener stitch. And I believe on one side I Kitchenered out so that my tail was on my sleeve. And then on the other side, I think I Kitchenered in, might be backwards from what I'm showing. I Kitchenered in. So one side will be super easy to take out these stitches and just kind of mattress stitch it differently that way. But the other side's going to be a pain in the butt. So we'll see what happens. Again, super happy with the Weekender. This is an Andrew Mowry classic. I'm sure you've heard of it before. I really, really hope that I get this done soon because winter is coming and I would like to wear it. So that's the Weekender. And again, sticking it into my bag that it does not fit in anymore. But this one doesn't leave the house right now. It stays home. So I think that's all for my, I have one more, yes, I have one more knit that I am currently working on my needles. A client of mine, I always like to inspire my clients to knit. I have actually a couple of clients that bring in their knitting with to their appointments. Like I said, I'm a registered massage therapist. So I have several clients, and there's a couple that actually bring in their knitting to show me every time, and they come about 15 minutes early, and we do a show and tell. I know that they're coming. I brought this in to show her, and it's really, really exciting to be able to inspire and create with other people. So this one lady, she has wanted to knit for a really long time. Someone that works with her, she works at the library. Like, how cool is that? She knit her a cowl and she fell in love with it, and she really wanted to learn how to knit herself. So she's got some crappy acrylic yarn, and I don't mean crappy in that if you use acrylic yarn that's crappy. I just mean that for me especially, to create something, I want to fall in love with the yarn. I want to fall in love with the fabric that the yarn creates. And it's a very important thing for me. So I explained that to her. I said, sometimes if it's just not working well, you might just need to go buy yourself some really nice yarn, and maybe it will start flowing from there. So she went out and did that, and she bought herself this beautiful cashmere mono hand-dyed tonal cashmere. It's 100% cashmere, and it's an earth yarn made in Turkey, fingering weight. And it just says color 706 lot 20. So she went out and bought this yarn for herself. She's had a really difficult year, this lady. She's a sweetheart. I know her and her husband, and she probably will never watch this podcast. But she got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis this year, and that is a very difficult diagnosis to receive. Your joints flare up. You have a ton of inflammation. It's very uncomfortable, and I can only imagine how knitting is the last thing that you want to be doing, and staying warm and cozy and pain-free is probably the top of your list. So I said to her, well, send me a picture of the pattern that you have, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's called the Naomi Cowl, and I will put it up on here as well. Send me a picture of the pattern. I will have a look at it, see how difficult it is, and maybe it's something I can do for you, right? My heart hurt for her, and I really wanted to help her get a cowl for her neck. So needless to say, it was really easy. It is like knit 2, purl 5, knit 1, purl 1, etc., and away you go. So I cast this on yesterday. You can actually see, I think you can see, there's a really quite unique pattern in this Knit One Purl One yarn. And the yarn is variegated a little bit, apparently. I'm holding it double, that's why there's 2 balls. And so it's variegating a little bit differently within itself. And I didn't get to see the skeins prior to them being wound in cakes because she brought them to me like this. But yeah, so I'm knitting this for her. She said she would pay me, and I told her that gift card to a yarn shop is all that I need. So yeah, that's the Naomi cowl. And lots of love going into this one for her as well. So that's the last thing that is currently on my needles. I have a few things that I am dreaming up a little bit once I've finished my weekender. The ranunculus is definitely still on my radar, as well as I need some mittens. I need ear warmers for when I'm out walking the dog. And Christmas is fast approaching, so I would like to have a couple of Christmas goodies tucked away for our nephews and nieces as well. So we shall see, right? Oh, I'm thirsty today. So much chatting. But I have found Vlogtober on YouTube. Tales from a Cuckoo Land. Cuckoo something, and Gaina, and she is a freaking blast to watch. She's such a hoot. The things that she says, partially the accent and just the slang that they have. I think she says she was in Brisbane. You may have followed her. Anyway, yesterday and this morning, partially, I binge watched her little snippets each day of her Vlogtober. And my mom was with me for a little bit. And I think we both picked up her accent slightly because I keep saying different things. And it's hilarious. Matt's even looking at me like I'm kind of crazy. So, yes. So I'm working on a couple of projects for the kids. I haven't cast anything. Pardon me. I haven't cast anything on quite yet. And so I'm not going to show you that until I do. But now I'm going to move on to my mom's projects. So she was just over this morning, and last night, actually, we had her for dinner as well. Mom and Dad just live like a 5-minute walk down the road. And so it's really fun to share knitting with her and dinners with them and whatnot. So these mittens are called the Newfoundland mitts. And they're revisited, and there's a Noro Tenon colorway 27, and she's held it with black yarn. So can you see? Yes, I think it looks like fish scales. I think they are very sweet. The pattern I will list here. I think she found it from a website. I'm not too sure if it's free. Yeah, wonderful. She's had these for a good year and a bit. I see my puppy hair on there. So these are the Newfoundland mitts. Very nice. I love seeing things that my mom's created. She does such a good job. My hands are small. My fingers are like right here. Next up, she has, so this is because sock yarn is the pattern, and it's a shawlette by Kate Atherley, because she can't resist sock yarn. So I don't think I'm showing anything by showing you this pattern. So there's the pattern, and as you can see, my mom actually prints her patterns and writes all her little details on them, and it's so cute to see her notes and how well worn the pattern is. So this yarn was purchased for Canada's 150th birthday, I believe it was, anniversary. So the Canadian National Parks yarn, and this was the Gwyhans BC National Park. So this is that because sock yarn shawl, And like this yarn, yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Autumn is all I can think when I look at this yarn. Yeah, and that's her shawl. Hope it's coming up nicely. Look at that color. Put it on. Oh, it smells like Mum. Tuck it in. Oh, it looks quite nice with my Freya. Looks almost like lacy. So yeah, that one, I believe she finished it last winter. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't seen her wearing it a ton. When she bought the yarn, I mean, the yarn was just beautiful. And the way that the skein was, it looked like it was going to come out kind of more chunky rather than a variegated like this. Not something I particularly would have chosen, but definitely has my mom written all over it. Very beautiful. And the last thing that she has shared with me to share with you is the Espensen by Cyrilla Rose. So this sweater, she told me that I should try it on and it looks better, but I'm already wearing this and I'm actually quite warm. So it is just kind of, again, a bit of a boxy kind of pullover sweater. And this sweater is made of several different types of yarn. And if I show you the shoulders, here's the shoulders there, you can see it goes all the way around. So I think it was knit in one great big rectangle and then has been attached, seamed up the sides with just an I-cord bind off on the sleeves or the armhole and the neckline as well. So in this sweater, if I can remember correctly, this was a little cardigan, sorry, the yarn, same yarn that had been used in a little cardigan for my niece. And this sparkly blue has a little bit of stellina in it. I believe this was actually gifted to me from one of my fiber share friends previous. There's some, I think this was from my mom's fiber share friend swap. Not too sure. Anyway, it's beautiful. My mom is fair and has red hair and freckles, and blues and greens just look absolutely beautiful on her. So this is a lovely shawl. So thank you again, Mom. Her name is Linda, and thanks for showing us, allowing me to show your projects. More to come in the future. She said she had a tough time deciding which ones to share today. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of it for the knitting content at this point. I did want to talk a little bit about what I'm up to lately. So, Fiber Share, if anyone has ever joined up with Fiber Share, you already know this, and it might be a little bit boring. But this is my third or possibly fourth round of Fiber Share. I just signed up. And so what it is they send you to their site and you fill out a questionnaire form of different, like your yarn, what do they say? It's your yarn passion, your yarn obsession, that's what it is, yarn obsession. Colors you like to knit with, a little bit about yourself, what you're working on, where you're from, etc., etc. It's $10 Canadian to enter, and I believe it's $8 US. And you get put into a system. And they had close to 3,000 participants this time. This is their third round for 2019. Unfortunately, the signups are closed, so I apologize to anyone that's interested in this now. But if you go on their fibershare.org, I will link it below. You can sign up for the newsletter, and they are also on Instagram, and they always, always, always tell you when the signups are coming along. So you can't miss it. So they put your name into this thing they actually sit down and read through your application and I think tag up different words that are similar to someone else's, and they pair you up. So you get two partners, one that you send to and one that you receive from, and then they are receiving or sending to someone different. So it's this great, big, massive circle. I have made some of the most unique and fun friends who I never would have had a chance to be introduced to, and I've still yet to meet anyone face to face. Like I said, virtual friends. Amanda from Sweet Skein of Mine. Her podcast is one of the biggest things that has inspired me to do my podcasting, and her information on other podcasts such as Espastry Co. and Sandy by the Lakeside, all those wonderful grocery girls. I wouldn't have known about them if she hadn't have said anything to me. So thank you for that again, Amanda. I really appreciate it. So there's Amanda, Vanessa Knits from, I think she's near New York. She's a fantastic pattern writer as well. And yeah, I've got quite a few different friends, and it's hard to remember who I've met through Fibershare, who I've met through Instagram, podcasting, etc. But the yarn and knitting community is incredible. Everyone has such big hearts, and they wear them on their knitted sleeves, and always so welcoming and loving people. So I'm really happy to have met most of you through that site. So yeah, Fibershare. I'm all signed up. I just recently got my new partner matches yesterday. I am sending to Victoria, British Columbia. There's a lovely lady there named Jody that I'm sending to. And I've touched base with her just briefly. She sounds pretty busy. She's got 4 kids and she's a nurse in the ICU, I believe. And I am receiving from Denmark and Brita, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've been touching base with her and having a wonderful conversation. She sounds just wonderful. She's finishing her mindfulness coaching right now. She's got 3 daughters. I'm the youngest of 3 girls, so that's kind of cool. She was teaching cooking in school, and I believe her daughter was cooking some lentil soup this morning as well. So we had a really good chat this morning. I know that the time change is a little bit different between there and here, and really looking forward to getting to know these ladies a lot more. So like I said, if you haven't done it before, something to do. I guess I should say, I mean, they have all their details on their site, but you send yarn and snacks and goodies and tea and patterns, stitch markers. I've received some of the most beautiful yarns that I don't know what to do with. They're in my stash. Very, very beautiful, hand-dyed, and I always try and send stuff that is unique to where we live and what I have. So Fibershare is really fun. I'm really excited for this round again, and I can't wait to make some more knitting friends there. I have one more thing to show you, and it is not knitting related whatsoever, but I need to go and get it. So just hang on a second. I will fast forward and I'll be right back. I would like you to meet our newest addition to our family. This is Sullivan. Say hi, honey. He is 10 weeks old, and he is 100% fluff and purr, and just the sweetest little baby. He is the best knitting companion ever because he just sits there and purrs and purrs and purrs. I shouldn't say that. He's still learning that the yarn and yarn balls are not his and not there to play with, but I have given him a couple scrap pieces of yarn to play with while he's sitting with me. What do you think, little one? Want to say hi? I just woke him up. He was having a nap. What do you see? So yeah, that's it for my podcast today. I'm not sure if I'll have any more content to share at the end of this, but I hope you are all having a wonderful beginning of November. You got to sit down and enjoy some quiet knitting time with me, and I hope that I've inspired at least one of you to get up and do something that you haven't done yet today. So have a wonderful day. Thanks again. Say bye, Sully. Say bye, Sullivan. Oh, it's a sweet little Smittens.